Hello everyone, welcome to another update of Planet Outpost. In this progress update, I just want to show you the particle engine. So right now it's just the bare basics of the engine, but I do have some particles rendered entirely in the GPU. As you can see here in the bottom, the sand is about 1 million sand, so just over 1 million. The tree node count is actually an octree. So this is the number of items in the octree to store with each of the node items. So every single one of these pixels is actually being tracked by a node, if you will, in this tree as well. So it is quite large. Both of them are quite large, of course. There's always going to be a little bit more nodes for tracking particles because of the parent-child hierarchy. But this tree count is going to go down to maybe tens to a few 100,000. That's about it. Once I implement some other optimizations, because there's some merging that can be applied as well in all of this. So the tree node will be significantly smaller than it is right now. Now, right now we do have about 1 million particles. We can certainly do a lot more than this, but if you see the frames per second is quite large. My main constraint is memory, which can easily be fixed if I upgrade my video card, but I think there's like 6 gigs of memory on this card, and Windows takes up a lot of that. So so basically, let me go to the here. You can rotate this a little bit, and you can kind of see now. This is these particles are. I have my own renderer, my own shader to render these particles, which basically renders a geometry. It's almost billboard style in a way for these particles. So if I rotate it a certain way, they just disappear, obviously, because it only renders what faces the camera, right? And if you rotate it around, it's going to be considered facing away from the camera. It's just the way the geometry works. But in any case, so yeah, these are all the particles being rendered using the shader. So you can see here. Now this is the game view. Has more of a solid, nice camera angle on everything. So let me go ahead and start it and stop it so you can see what I started with. So it creates a block. So here's the cube. And this cube, you can already see the circle in the center. It's collapsing in on itself. So gravity is pulling every single particle towards the center. There you go. And when it hits the center, it's basically just kind of going through the center. Now, the way I have it set, it's not going to hit the center and then explode outwards. The reason for that is because once the radius of one particle goes inside another particle, gravity kind of changes slightly. For example, if you're falling into the earth, when you get to the center of the earth, gravity is pulling in all directions, right? It's not pulling down anymore. In fact, it's kind of pulling in all directions. So as you get to the center, you actually start to slow down. And when you go past the center, you actually start slow. There's like a certain consistent speed you're going at, and you slowly start to slow down as you go past the center, and then your gravity reduces, and then eventually it'll just be ping-ponging back and forth, from the center of the earth, right? But you don't like fly out, so there's a certain dampening that occurs when they get too close to each other, like in the center. But nonetheless, it seems to be creating quite an interesting kind of pattern. But that's, of course, they all start as a square. Now, I did add some randomness in the shader a little bit to kind of throw off the particles somewhat. So that's kind of like if you leave it sit long enough, you can actually see it seems to be kind of like not perfectly aligned anymore, if you will. Like the pattern's starting to skew off a bit. And that's only because I added a bit of randomness to the velocities, just to kind of throw the particles off, so it's not like some weird perfect pattern that's just kind of pulsating in and out. So yeah, I mean that's about 1 million particles. Now again, I am limited by memory. I find that if I start increasing it too much, I start taxing the amount of memory I have left in the graphics card, and I get some weird results from that. But so far, I'm going to keep it right now at this level. Um, Now, I don't know how exactly, like how large a universe I can build with these particles. Um, I mean, I want to try to simulate an entire universe if at all possible, but it may have to be focused on simulating only the the objects as a whole, and somehow, and for example, I want to have particles, a whole planet that's just particles, and the stars themselves will just be gas giants, so it's not going to be particle based per se. But the planets themselves and asteroids, moons, everything. I want these particles to actually create a sort of universe. Like they're actually attracted to each other. They actually create material and ground and things. And they just like an actual, rather not so much like a voxel engine, sort of like a voxel engine, but this is really more of a particle engine that kind of has a bit of voxel idea to it. I might actually render right now they're being rendered as quads, but I'm probably going to render them as actual boxes, like voxels. And there'll actually be collisions between the particles, and they'll actually form um, objects. Like gravity will actually pull in on each other and form entire planets and so on and so forth. So we'll have to see how that goes down. But anyways, this is the update of the engine, and just wanted to give you guys a quick update. So that's pretty much it. My next goal at some point is going to be collisions between the particles, so that we can see some actual three-dimensional materials, maybe even add some colors or something like that. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thanks.